Right, we are live. I am praying that you can actually hear me. I finally think I have figured out the problem with my new microphone, and I was able to test it on YouTube because I can go live privately, but I haven't tested it on LinkedIn. So if you watch this live and there's no sound, comment for me so I can stop and take the mic out. Right, let's get it stuck in. Got about 20 minutes or so. I want to cover 3 bad habits you need to fix that are going to stop you from losing weight in 2025. 3 bad habits I think executives have. Probably every overweight man has, but I think they are more important if you are an executive or professional, due to things like having less time, having a more hectic schedule, and of course, having more opportunities where food and drink can go a little bit messed up, like business meetings, lunches, traveling, that sort of thing. So we're going to cover these 3 habits. I've got 4 or 5. We'll see how much time I got. I don't really want to overwhelm, but these 3 are important. The first one is a habit that frustrates the hell out of me, and that is the habit of quitting when you make one minute little mistake. Come home, for example, from a stressful day at work, and you think, sod it, you have a couple of biscuits, maybe you crack open a bottle of wine, maybe it's Tuesday or Wednesday, and then you say, sod it, ruined it. I'll start again on Monday. It's just ridiculously cliche now, but it's so many people, so many men say it. I'll start my diet again on Monday. And often that is said simply because they've made a really small error during the week. My good friend Gareth once said, I don't know if this was something he said, I can't remember if he was quoting someone else, but he said it's kind of like getting a puncture on your car and then deciding to just slash the other 3 tires just because one has got a puncture. Makes no sense to sabotage all of your effort. I've talked about this before, so I won't obviously go into it in detail, like in terms of why it's silly to do, because really it's about mathematics, but anyway, I can go into it, but really the point is that if you make a small mistake with your diet, and I think it typically is more likely to happen if people screw up their diet, but some of you might have a similar response to maybe missing a training session, not doing the steps, but let's just whatever. So let's say you feel like you've done something wrong, and then you say to yourself, I'm just going to start again on Monday. Like, the truth is that even if you had a whole day of eating badly, doesn't mean you should then eat badly for another 3 or 4 days to start again on Monday. Like, when did Monday become where the clock starts? And if you are the problem with having this habit is you just never get anywhere, because you are constantly saying to yourself, I've messed it up, I'll start again. And there are only so many Mondays in a year, and before you know it, you're back in December watching me do this again, and another year has passed. So instead, excuse me, still got a bit of a cough. So instead of being that guy that gives up, you have to learn to forgive yourself sometimes. Give yourself a little bit of grace and be like, I'm only human. I'm not going to get this perfect. Like, I'm not an Olympic athlete that literally has to get every minute detail correct in order to achieve my goals. If you come home from work, and I'm not saying you should do it often, But if you come home from work and you find yourself eating some biscuits, or you order yourself some food, or you say, I'm going to have a beer, and instead of having one, you have 5. The best thing you can do is forgive yourself and realize that if you only, let's say the very moment you realize you've made that mistake, instead of then, let's say it's Wednesday, instead of then eating badly Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, starting again on Monday, if you just go back to normal immediately, whether that's kind of in the daytime or the next morning, then you'll still make progress. It's not a huge deal. You got to learn. So just make these mistakes and then crack on. Some of the things you can do though is get your head back in the game really quickly. So remind yourself of why you're trying to do it. Don't let it become an excuse to kind of give yourself a pass to eat badly for a few more days, which is really easy to do. It's really easy to kind of use it as an excuse. Oh, I fucked it up. I'm not going to get results this week. I've just had a couple of extra beers. Oh Jesus. Oh, wow. There's no point bothering. I'll start again on Monday. It's conveniently always Monday, because what comes before Monday? The weekend. Dare I say that most of you probably mess up on a Thursday or a Friday and then use that as an excuse to carry on being bad on the weekend. Stop doing it. You'll never get anywhere doing that. Bad habit number 2. Not viewing exercise, probably for the most part, but healthy eating, just the lifestyle, as important. So for example, if in your business you had something in the calendar, in the diary, that said, I don't know, I've got to go to this meeting at this time on this day, the likelihood of you missing it is very low. In fact, you might prioritize business over things that people might deem more important, like family commitments. You might prioritize a business meeting over, I don't know, it's Christmas, going to the school to watch your children in the play, because it's so important to you. Now, I'm not saying you should kind of become obsessed with health and fitness, but it should kind of have a place in your life where it is valued. And you should, where possible, get into the habit of having a structure to when you're going to exercise that 90% of the time doesn't change. Like, if somebody contacts me and says, Phil, I really like what you did on that live today. I'm desperate for some help. Like, you know, can we have a chat? Which is obviously what I get quite a lot. Can we chat on Friday at 9 a.m? I'm going to be like, no, because on a Friday at 9 a.m, I will be training my legs. And quite frankly, it's more important than talking to you, because I prioritize my fitness goals, because that is a backbone. It's a foundation of my life. I would have this same philosophy, I guess, even if I wasn't a coach. You can do the same. Yes, you will likely have to have a bit more flexibility. Well, you will have to have more flexibility than me, because I don't go into an office, nor do I travel. And even if I do meet with clients or like prospects, it's on Zoom, and it's, you know, it's easy for me to move it around. But that doesn't mean you can have a pretty rigid structure. And then importantly, because there's no point saying that you are going to train before work Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or you're going to do it at a certain time in the evening. If the very second somebody wants to take that time from you for something else, whether it's family, friends, or business, you just say, yeah, no problem. Instead of saying, sorry, no, That's my time for me. I mean, you don't have to, and also you don't have to tell someone. If someone says, can you meet me at this time, or can we have a call at this time? Can you do this for me at this time? You don't have to say no, because that's when I'm going to the gym, or that's when I'm training. And in fact, I'd probably advise you not to say it, because if you are saying that to somebody that doesn't have the same priorities as you, then they probably won't like that. But doesn't mean you can find like another excuse. Healthy eating is the same, has to be a priority. It can't be just something you do when it's convenient, when it's easy. Training has to be something that is like a non-negotiable. And yes, you can move them around. You might have it set as a structure. If you can hold yourself accountable, you can have it as more like a box to tick. I will train 3 times this week. I will do X steps. But if you're somebody that, if you are going to have that kind of fluid, if it's not set in stone at certain times, then you're going to have to be really good at like planning and looking at your diary and thinking, shit, Monday was quite busy. I didn't do it when I said I would. Okay, I've got to do it Tuesday. Otherwise, you will be the guy that gets to the end of the week and you haven't done anything. So it has to be a priority. Why would it not be a priority? Like, it's like, again, a very cliche example, but on an aeroplane, what do they say to do if the oxygen mask comes down? You put it on yourself first, because if you don't put it on yourself and you pass out, then you're useless. So being, for lack of a better term, a little bit selfish and prioritizing your own training and healthy eating and all your own wellness actually benefits everyone else. It will benefit your kids, it will benefit your partner, your spouse, it will benefit your team, your business, and it will benefit your friends, because you'll be fitter, you'll have more energy, you'll be more productive, you'll be happier, you'll get more done. As opposed to being lethargic, grumpy, always in pain and moody, depressed, which is easy to get like that if you're, not exercising, you're out of shape, you're in pain, you're constantly stressed. Life's tough. So make sure you prioritize exercise and healthy eating. Make sure it's something that you value. It's important to you. It's up there with business. It's arguably more important than things like business, because let's face it, if you get ill, you are going to lose a lot of time getting better. I know this because when my colitis flared up in the summer, I spent quite a lot of time on the phone to doctors and driving back and forth to appointments, getting medications, etc., worrying, not sleeping as well. So you could argue that the most important thing in your life is your health and your fitness, because of how it will have the knock-on effect to everything else. So what we covered so far: stop quitting when you make get out of the habit of quitting if you make one mistake, and get out of the habit of letting everything else in your life be more important than your own wellness and your well-being. And the last one, very, very crucial for executives, and I'm going to talk about I'm not just telling you to do this. I made this mistake myself last weekend, not actually at the detriment of my training or anything, but it's something I did. I'm going to talk about it. Is stop mindlessly eating. The story is last weekend. Was it last weekend? It was last weekend. I had just come back from the Peak District, and I decided to have what you call a diet break. And I was just relaxed with my eating. I was enjoying it. And the goal was to stop it on the Sunday. And on the Saturday, it was my stepson's, wasn't his birthday, but it was his birthday party. So all of his nan and granddad and his uncles and aunts and cousins came over, and we had food. And we were sat at the table that is behind the phone now, I'd eaten some pizza and some sweets, and we were all talking. And I looked down at the table and I had maybe 10, possibly 15 wrappers from those little celebrations, Mars bars, Milky Ways. And if you followed me for long enough, you'll know that I like chocolate and I have a really good ability to eat lots of it. So I looked down and there's all these wrappers, 10 or 15, they're about 40 calories each. You think about that, that's 400 to 600 calories. The thing was though, because we were just talking, I wouldn't even say I was enjoying those foods. I was just mindlessly pick and wrap, and because they're bite size, chew, swallow, talk for a second, reach across, continue. Not even really taking time to enjoy the food. Certainly at this point I was not hungry. I just had several slices of pizza, some other stuff. So there was no reason for me to sit and kind of pick on those foods. It's just mindless eating. Well, that doesn't matter so much in this context, because like I said, I was having a diet break and now I'm back to not doing that. But for you guys who, you go out, you get caught up in kind of business meetings or celebrating or out for work drinks, out with family, it's very easy to do. It's very easy just to eat. It's easy to do just sat on the sofa watching a film. We do it at the cinema. We went to the cinema twice last month, and it's just like you're watching a film and I'm just shoveling popcorn into my mouth. A, I don't overly like popcorn that much. I don't ever buy it. And B, why did I need to sit there for practically the whole film just mindlessly doing this? You just don't think about it. The problem though, if you are somebody that goes into business meetings, like lunches, client dinners, or you go to the airport, any time where there's just kind of food available that isn't as healthy as it might be at home, for example, and you just start to mindlessly eat, you will eat more calories than you need. Me sitting and eating those chocolates is a great example. 400 to 600 odd calories, not needed. There's the dog barking as usual. So, come here. Come here. Right, I was taking care of that. Where we're at with the distance. Where was I? Oh yeah, talking about the chocolate. Yeah, it's just easy calories. And that is something that you are going to need to fix, because when you are if you're trying to lose body fat, you only have so many calories available. And if you're trying to be the guy that maintains a certain look and you've lost some weight, especially if you get to the end of a diet and you've lost a good amount of weight, and at the end of a diet, typically your hunger signals are higher, appetite's higher, you have to be mindful. You have to kind of think. You have to just become that person that doesn't ever just eat for the sake of it. There will be times when you do, like, for example, at this point, I'm not saying on Christmas Day you should be mindful of every crumb that you have, but in the 90% of the time, you have to think about what you are consuming. Especially for those of you that, especially if you've had a few drinks with clients and you are eating out, then you are not going to be able to control your calories well enough unless you stop and think about it. And then you just remind yourself, really, okay, what should I be having in terms of a choice from the menu? How much is a good idea for me to have in terms of portion size? And that means those times when your food choices are a little bit limited, or you have to drink, there's a little bit more temptation, doesn't have the same impact. You're just reminding yourself, like, I've got this goal, I want to achieve this, I need to eat this much, or I need to choose this food. And again, like I said, you won't be perfect. It won't always be the case. You won't do it 100% of the time. Like, No need to be mindful 100% of the time, but the majority of the time, especially during weight loss phases, and especially when you are, especially with social events and business commitments. Otherwise, you will just, like I said, you'll eat too many calories and you won't get the results that you want. Or worse, you will start to gain weight. So hopefully those 3 things are helpful. What did we cover there? Number 1, stop being the person that quits just because you've had one bad meal or missed one session and then says you're going to start again on Monday. It's a ridiculous habit, but it's very, very common. If you're the person you think, be honest with yourself, if you're doing it on a Friday, say, for example, are you just doing it and using it as an excuse? Number 2, we said be better at prioritizing, like stop seeing kind of your health and your fitness as something that is kind of done when it's convenient, when it's easy to do. It should be seen as just as important, if not more important, than boardroom meetings. And then number 3, stop kind of mindlessly eating. Like stop and like let yourself be more in the moment, especially when you're traveling or you are with clients or you're drinking and you're not eating in an environment where you can stop and think and have more control over your food, just to make sure that your choices are better, and importantly, just the amount that you consume is where it needs to be to ensure that you get through those things and still maintain results. Right, that should do it. Done almost a kilometer. If you are struggling to do these things and you would like some help with that, and you're looking to start before January, you're not somebody who's going to wait till the new year, you're eager to get these results now, send me a message with the word habits and we'll have a chat, see if I can help and go from there. Enjoy the rest of your day.